What is up, everybody? I am back with another one of our series of videos looking at Ashes of Creation and sort of what's been going on. This video is going to be focused more so on what the planned content release structure was. I know that many of you were interested in this, even though it looks like we will not see that content released. But nonetheless, I did want to go and share with you what has been shared with me. We do have two sources of information to look at with this. One, of course, is the source of information that I have from former employees, but then also, for those of you who are unaware, we did have a leak from the community to YouTube of the one and only content creator meeting that occurred just prior to all of this happening. During that meeting, they did share quite a bit of the planned movement forward. So we can look at both things just to give you an idea of where we were and where we were headed. I want to point out, as we were always told, these things were always subject to change. So who knows if this would have actually happened if given the time. But this is the sort of last time frame that the employees were given as far as what they could expect. I will point out some of these employees, some of my sources also stated that they often would find out about changes at the same time we did. So again, if I want to get anything across, we do not know definitively that these dates would have happened. All right, in the comments, I want you all to do two things. I want you to first pause the video. Second, I want you to list what month and year you think beta was planned, and also what month and year you think the release of the game was planned for. As always, this reporting is based on a combination of public records, public statements, and information shared with me by former employees and individuals with direct knowledge of the events at Intrepid Studios. And some of this information has not been publicly released by the company. And I'm not publishing confidential documents or private communications, and some details remain disputed or incomplete. So where information comes from non-public sources, I will try to state this clearly. And, as always, it's an ongoing situation and details may change. And if they do, I will update with those changes. I'm just trying to be very careful here. We actually did have a couple of content creators get videos pulled. So just trying to do my due diligence as we go forward. So starting with the content creator meeting that was leaked, the details of that, basically there was a planned patch for March 31st. And that was the big elements of that. One was going to be increasing character levels to a max of 30, which was sort of that first step of classes. With that, we actually were supposed to be introduced to all 64 classes. And each of those were planned to have 1 to 2 augments per class. They also mentioned adding events and commissions beyond level 10. So from really the level 10 to 30 range, along with a lot more first-time user experience upgrades past level 10, which is kind of odd that you go beyond level 10, but that's what they had planned. With this was a plan for a lot of medium POIs to be added, and also improved enemies and things like AI. They also wanted to improve caravans and try to make these better and bring them back into the fold, and not just rely on crates as your source of PvP. Outside of these things, there was a lot of quality of life and user experience improvements, including things planned, including things like improving camera and character controls, UI improvements, marketplace improvements, which would have been great. There was also a lot of stability and performance improvements. And in many ways, this was really looking like a move towards release. But those were sort of the big things that were shared during that meeting. And again, I'll share the link below so that you can go listen for yourself. Now, speaking with sources, we can kind of compare that to what the internal roadmap was for the employees. Keeping in mind, again, things were always subject to change. So who knows what would have actually come from this. But per my sources, again, former employees, this was the last sort of roadmap that they saw. as they were going through content. So we'll just kind of go by quarters within 2026, and then we'll look at 2027 and beyond. For quarter one 2026, sources basically indicate that call, what was heard in that content creator call, seems to be largely accurate. They were really working on polishing the first-time user experience, updating the character creator experience, updating the chat experience, with the plan to raise the cap to level 30, and with that introduce multi-classing, marketplace updates, and additional PvP content, including bounty hunting, along with caravans and crate rule changes or updates in order to make them more balanced. And with this was planned to possibly be a fresh start server. Quarter two 2026, sources indicated that the planned content release for quarter two would have been the Tolnar race, some introduced variances to world bosses, increasing the level cap to 50, settlement death, castles, gliding mounts, the addition of freeholds, player housing, and personal instances, guild halls, and with that, possibly another wipe and or fresh start server. All right, for quarter three 2026, sources indicated they plan for the core loop and content to be complete for a launch. They plan for the final first-time user experience to be completed, AI voiceover to be added, PvP arenas to be added, the auction house to be added, and final naval units to be completed as well. Name reservation, guild name reservation to be added. The plan was for about 500 plus hours of gameplay. And with that, there was a plan for beta in August with a plan for possible launch in September. And with that, there was the discussion apparently of possibly a $20 sub activation. So a $20 sub fee, which we have talked about in the past. So yeah, that is probably, I'm guessing a lot of you did not get that correct in the comments, but that is what sources have communicated to me as the plan for that quarter three of 2026. And then looking at the 2027 roadmap, things that were going to be added post-launch. So these are going to be things like more unique settlements, narrative content with a plan to possibly pivot to more sandbox systems than narrative, standalone mode. Yes, I said that right. Possible standalone mode with an offline first-time user experience, added unique world bosses. It looks like possibly a 90% cut to the dynamic world, siege vehicles, animal husbandry to be added, vehicle progression to be added in 2027, stock exchange, parlor games, dual wielding one-handed weapons, the Underrealm. So yes, it does appear possibly per sources that we were going to get the Tolnar, but not the Underrealm, public dungeons, additional service buildings, guild castles, social organizations, the majority of what would be included for dynamic world features, and then raid content outside of events and world bosses. The family system, the religious system, the monster coins, and non-combat pets. So again, these are the sources indicate this was sort of the general broad plan for content release through the quarters 1, 2, and 3 of 2026, along with 2027 and beyond. Again, take it for what it's worth. Development is always, as has been stated many times, a moving train. Who knows if these targets would have been hit? But apparently that was what was planned. Again, the big things, well, there's a lot of big things, but possibly a beta in August of 2026, and then possibly a launch in September of 2026. So with a $20 subscription fee. So again, to close this up, the legal side of things, this report is intended to document events as accurately and responsibly as possible based on the information available to me at the time, from sources who were former employees from the company. Some details described here are contested, incomplete, or subject to ongoing legal processes. And if new information emerges, or if any details presented here are shown to be inaccurate, I will correct them, correct the record publicly immediately as fast as I can. It looks like, again, Stephen has been hinting that a possible lawsuit is coming the week that we're putting this video out. So I'm guessing that we will probably have a lot more information regarding the economic side of all of this, which then we can talk about a little bit more openly. Again, just trying to be very, very cautious in how we do this and present things responsibly. So I appreciate y'all watching. If you are not yet subscribed and or following, please consider doing so, and I'll see y'all next time.